Hey, everybody. Thank you guys so much for coming back on. It is Monday. It is 8:30. It is Conversations with Teresa time. Thank you guys so much again for coming on. If you were on last week, man, that was a show, right? I got to say, I fully enjoyed the conversation. This week, we're just leveling up. How about that? Last week, the majority of the people that came on, we were talking about our stage in life in perimenopause. We did have one person who was postmenopause, and this week we kind of flipped it. This week we have the majority of people talking about postmenopause, and then we have one or two talking about peri. So let's just invite them on in. All right. It's time to come on in, everybody. I'm so excited to see you. I will go around and I will let you guys introduce yourselves, but I guess I got to say it first because you don't know what order that I see you in. All right. So as I call your name, if you wouldn't mind saying your name, where you're coming from, your age, and what stage of menopause you are in. How about that? I said a lot. You guys got it?
Yes.
So. All right. So we're going to start with who's to my right, which is Charmaine.
Hi, I'm Charmaine Tyler. I'm from Stoughton, Massachusetts, and I am 58, almost 59 in like 2 weeks.
Come on, girl.
Yes.
Very well.
And I am post menopause. I don't know. I just feel like I've been here for a minute. So
good stuff. Excellent. All right. And then we have Carrie.
Hi, I'm Carrie. I am 52, about to be 53 in May. I have been struggling, at least I started to realize with perimenopause at 49. So a couple of years now.
Okay.
I'm from Uxbridge, Mass.
All right. Thank you so much. All right, Corliss.
All right. Hi, my name is Corliss. I'll be 68 in May.
Wow. No, you won't.
Awesome.
And I might not have as bad a story as everyone else, because to tell you the truth, I don't know if my journey began and if and when it ended.
That's true.
Meaning I had. So we'll talk when we talk.
We will talk when we talk. Exactly. Oh, I like that. We will talk when we talk. Miss Myra.
Hi, I'm Myra from Dorchester. I am 64. I'll be 65 this March.
Wow.
Man,
come on.
Yeah.
You did good, Myra.
You guys rock, man. I'm like, what? Okay. All right. Beautiful. And Miss Ruby.
Yes, I'm Ruby Mitchell. I actually live in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Go Birds.
Yeah.
I have been in menopause since I was in my late 40s, and I will be 65 this year as well in July.
All right.
Wow.
All right.
My gosh. Thank you guys so much. So an amazing wealth of knowledge that is just right here, knowledge, experience, and all that great stuff. So again, thank you guys for coming on. For those who are tuning in, if you guys have any comments, any things that you want to say, if you are on the website, I hope I get this right. If you're on the website, you could actually just click where you're at and you'll be able to comment, or if you're on YouTube, I think you have to hit something that's down below. It'll say there's a little banner that's going to go by and say what you're supposed to do. I'm not all that tech savvy, but I got people who are, so that's really good. So what we're going to do, we're going to we're going to go in reverse order, if that's okay. We'll do what we did last week and go in reverse order. And really, this is just a time to speak about our experience. But why are we doing this? So again, if you were here last week, you guys heard my little sob story. It wasn't a sob story. You heard my journey, right? You heard what I was going through, or what I went through, what I'm still going through. And it hit me so hard, so fast. So like, it came out of nowhere, what it seemed like at the time, where I was not functioning the way that I knew myself to function. I was forgetting things. I blank.
Yes.
Things just went blank. Words, I didn't know what they were. My body had changed. Like everything was changing, and I didn't know why. I didn't know why my periods were changing. I didn't know why my migraines were so much more intense. I didn't know, why am I still getting cramps? Like why? Like all of these different things. And I was just like, I guess that's just the way it's supposed to be. And I was suffering in it, not knowing that I didn't have to. And so I had just decided, you know what? I like to talk. Let's tell some other people about it. I would not want anyone to go through what I went through, in the sense of not knowing. Or we might go through different journeys, but it was the not knowing, the confusion that really got me. And so I'm really hoping that this podcast, as you guys share it with other people, as you guys are talking about your experience, we really set our friends up, our family up, our strangers up, our neighbors up. We set up our nieces and our cousins. We set our women up so that they know that they can talk about it, that they're not alone, that it is a natural thing. This thing that we're going through, it's natural. It don't feel great, but it is natural, and we're going to be okay. All right. So I will start. Like I said, I'll go back. So Ruby, I am putting you on the spot first.
All righty then.
Telling us your journey.
Whoa. And I would say that's the right word for it. It was a journey. I started in my 40s. I had two pregnancies that ended in having miscarriages. And I went to the doctors, and she inquired about all that was going on. And I told her all my symptoms and things that were going on. And she says, you look really young, but your eggs might be old and you might be going through menopause, which that was the first time I had heard the word. I mean, I think it was out there somewhere, but nobody was talking about this. And certainly I felt like I was too young to be going through this. But after a while, the menstrual stopped. And there's one situation that I remember with my husband where Alonzo must have been maybe about 7 or 8. Camry was about 4, perhaps 3 or 4. I'm sitting on the other side of a half wall. There was grape juice. I do remember this. And he poured grape juice for Alonzo. Alonzo took a sip, sat it on the counter. Camry comes behind him. She takes the juice. Next thing I know, I hear a spill. I jumped up and had a conniption. You would have thought that they had done something so evil, but my emotions were like heightened to the roof over spilled juice.
Wow.
And for the first time, Chip looked at me. He goes, just go sit down. I've got this. I couldn't even understand why I had reacted like that.
Wow.
But that was one of the symptoms that I had, was a quick to emote, quick to get angry, quick to everything. And then when you talked about forgetting things, losing things, I mean, I think I found my phone one day in the sink, in the dishes. I was washing dishes. I go, what? And I kept saying, I am losing my mind.
Yeah.
And as I would go to older women, they would not talk about it. Women around me, they weren't talking about it. And I just thought, my refrain, I am losing my mind.
Oh,
the hot flashes were hot. I think I had a couple of where you had the chills. I had maybe one night where I had the all sweat and you kind of, but for the most part, every woman I know that I've even met has given me a fan. I have my whole throat because they would see me. I was miserable. My last thing that I want to share is my husband once, because he was going through it with me, and he's a bit younger than me, but he watched me one day and he was sitting watching my face as it just turned basically red. And he was standing near me and he said the heat was it was radiating from me.
Wow.
He goes, I feel the heat coming off of your body.
Wow.
So that was real. But the thing that probably bothered me the most is that the women that were older than me, they did not talk about it. My mom said, oh, I never went through that. I had many women tell me they never went through it. But I was going through something that no one was talking about. I felt embarrassed. I felt like I don't know what's going on. My refrain is I'm losing my mind. And I had no one that was talking about it.
Ah, wow.
Yeah.
Whew. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm so sorry that you went through that, but
Hmm.
I'm glad that you're here now. And this is
Yes.
what we're going to make sure that that is not the case anymore.
Right.
So
Well, we're talking about it now. We're
we're
Oh,
talking.
yeah.
talking about it. We out there. All right.
That's
So
right.
thank you so much.
Sure.
Miss Myra.
And it's funny. I've been having this conversation with my best friend, Carol, for the longest time because it's something that's just never been talked about. Growing up, it was almost like it was taboo. You
Yeah.
know, you had your period. You know, it was funny. You know, when I had my period, my mom, she told me what to do. And after that, it was like she never told me it stopped. So honestly, I think I wore a pad for like it seemed like forever because I was like, she didn't say, okay, it ends. It's going to end at some point. It was things that we just never talked about.
Yeah.
Right.
So I mean, a lot I learned from friends and people who went through it. But as I got older, the thing that I am postmenopause, and the thing that you know is really sticking out is the vaginal dryness.
Yes.
And I have it's called vaginal atrophy,
Mhm.
Mm.
and it's just
Oof.
yeah, it's just
Yeah.
unbelievable. And
Yeah.
so you have to go through and what I found out is that it's it's really common in women who didn't have vaginal birth. My son was a C-section.
Yeah. Mine too.
Yeah, so and
Mine too.
it's yeah, and it's really common, but
Uh,
there is hope. And you just have to, you can get estrogen therapy, and that's what I'm working with now. But it's just the pain is unbelievable. It's
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
it's like it's nothing I can well, I can describe it, but it's like it's crazy. It's like glass. It's like
Yes.
Yes. That's
Yes.
good.
Cuts,
and
tiny cuts. Like
tiny cuts, and it's just the
Ah,
pain is just excruciating.
excruciating. Mhm.
And
Wow.
my Daryl understands, but still, it's something that we have to talk about a lot. And
yeah.
it's a work in progress. But I'm glad there's some relief. It's
Mhm.
funny that I went to my OBGYN, and she tried everything on the market, nothing worked.
Mhm.
The
Mm.
moisturizers. She was like,
Mhm.
"Have you ever thought about coconut oil?" I was like,
Mhm.
Exactly.
Yep.
"Coconut?"
There you
Yeah,
go,
Yeah.
girl.
yeah.
Coconut
And I was
oil.
like,
Yep.
like
There's your
coconut
friend.
oil. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's amazing. It's like,
It's amazing.
oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Buy them out.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me make a note of that.
Because
Yes.
Absolutely.
it's
Yes.
antimicrobial, so it's like a it helps with bacteria. Like
It's
coconut oil is phenomenal.
Oh
Phenomenal.
my
It
goodness.
is.
Yes.
Who knew? And it, like I said, I think I've tried everything on the market,
Mhm.
Okay.
nothing worked, water-based, silicone-based, whatever it was, just didn't work. The
Mm.
coconut oil, that's the key right there.
Wow.
But
Like coconut oil, like go to Stop and Shop and I get some coconut oil.
Yeah, some
exactly,
organic coconut oil. Yeah.
organic coconut
Organic
oil.
Yes.
coconut
Yes.
oil.
Yes.
Okay. Because
But
now, so I'm here, like I'm learning stuff, right?
Yeah,
So
you are.
last week it was the itchy ear,
mhm,
right? This week is coconut oil because I've also had
absolutely.
C-sections with all my children.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
Yeah,
okay.
keep it on
Mhm.
hand.
Oh
Yeah.
man, I'm gonna
Yeah.
go buy some tomorrow just in
You
case, right?
should.
Right.
You should.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
That helps.
Mhm.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. All right, Miss Corliss.
All right. Um, like I said in the beginning, I never actually went through menopause.
Mhm.
I did question it a couple of times. And some of my friends who had been going through it since like their early 30s, they said, and
Oh,
continue to go through it, and they're in their 70s. I was
Wow.
like, hmm. So I said, well, maybe I'm going through it and I just don't know it. And they
Mhm.
said, there's
Mhm.
no
yep.
way You're gonna know it. With the night sweats, the
No.
changing of the pajamas, your linen. And I said, wow. So they got me kind of nervous. Now I go to my doctor and I mention it. And he says, well, you could be one of those women that never go through it. So there is a possibility you could be one of those women that never go through it. He said, but there's also a blood test that you could take
Mm.
to find out if you're menopausal, premenopausal, or whatever. So we went to the lab. I did. To this day, I've never went through it. And like I said, I'll be 68 in May.
Wow.
And when I listen to all the symptoms, it's not like I want to go through it, but it makes me think I should have gone through it because it
No,
seems
you're
like
good.
that's like
No,
normal.
you're good.
You're good.
It's a blessing.
We got
You're
enough
good.
symptoms for you. Trust me.
And then one thing that they thought might trigger it is that years ago I had a partial hysterectomy because I had
Mm.
fibroids.
Okay.
Oh,
So
yeah.
after I had those removed and I had my my ovaries they kept because there was no damage to them.
Mhm.
So they said, but it might send you into early menopause, and that I would have to go on hormonal therapy
Right.
treatment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I never did that either.
Okay.
So
Mm.
it was like, okay, you did what you had to do. I had the partial his, never went through early menopause, no menopause. And like I said, I don't know if it can, it's a possibility at my age it still can come on you.
Mm.
I don't know if there's a time limit.
Right.
Mm.
You know, I could
Right.
just be a late bloomer. So,
I hope not.
but I would think at this point in stage that it should be over. I shouldn't even have that to think about happening, but I'm not sure that that's the case.
Mm.
Mm. Wow. Well,
So my
that
And then
mom is right. You can go. You cannot go through it, huh?
I
My-
know, huh?
and here I am looking forward to it, and I'm telling them, well, maybe it won't be that bad, and da da da. And they're like, no, girl, please. I was like, okay, yeah, like I said, I went to my doctor. So,
oh
and
man.
and like I said, they thought that the partial hysterectomy was gonna be an early trigger for it,
Right.
and
Yeah.
I would go on hormone treatment, but that never happened either. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I must have been blessed in that sense.
You
Mhm.
are.
And then one other thing, I don't know if everybody heard last week's podcast, but
Mhm.
during that, they were saying, to let, like you said, let people know, talk about it, don't, sweep it under the rug.
Right.
And they mentioned like on your job, so people will know that you're going through stuff.
Yeah.
And I heard what they were saying, and I understand what they're saying, but I don't always agree with telling HR what's going on with you.
Oh.
And my reason for that is I worked for the state for a long time, and I saw people who were going through things, personal, medical, or whatever, and they did tell their superiors. And in the beginning, they seemed sympathetic towards, what that person was going through. But at night, trust and believe, they were the topic of their conversation. And
Mm.
anytime any little thing happened in that office, with that person in their work, they blamed it on their condition.
Mm.
Oh,
Mm.
you're not, performing as well as you should. And it's probably because you're going through such and such a
Wow.
thing. Do you think that you still be able to maintain your job? I've
Mm.
seen like that side of it. So I don't always agree with telling
Mm.
HR. I would tell them what I had to tell them, but
Yeah.
not just tell so that if you see me having a bad day, you get to say, okay, leave her alone. She's going through menopause,
Yeah.
Mhm.
'cause-
Yeah.
so that's what I wanted to, just say on that part of it. There's
Okay.
pros and cons for it.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. It is yeah, it's a fine line. And I think the only thing I would say to that, like you have to with anything, whether it's your job or your neighbor or whatever, you do have to be mindful of who you're
Right.
speaking to. You have to be,
Yeah.
Right.
do some
Know your
judgment
environment.
who
Yeah.
you're speaking
Mhm.
to. And yeah, it's again, it's a fine line. Because we're not talking about it though, it almost suppresses it, right? So it's like this hush hush thing. We're not talking about it. no one else can understand it unless they've gone through it. And
Right.
then, so it's kind of like this whole thing that keeps going around and around. If we don't say it, how can anyone respond? How can a company respond if we're not talking about it, if we're not making a big deal? And as women, and this is not to dispute what you're saying, but if we're not making a big deal about it, corporate's not going to make a big deal about it either. And then it keeps not being a big deal. And then we suffer in silence, right? Because we're going to show up. We got to pay our mortgage, right? So we're going to show up. We're going to work. We might be hot. We're going to show up. We might be tired. We're going to show up. We might be moody. We're going to show up. And we're going to do our job, and we're going to be a boss at it, right? But we are going to go and suffer like crazy. And so again, there are places, there are communities, there are workplaces that can understand. It's not like they can just be like, oh, okay, well, take the 10 months off. Like, that's not going to happen either, right?
More like 10 years.
Right. Exactly. Take 10 years off. But we have to be able to work together to be able to say, okay, where is a happy medium? How are we going to fix this? How are we going to do it? There are people, and this may sound like a terrible, terrible analogy, but there are people who are living with cancer who still go to work.
Right.
Right. There are people that have these diseases that are still going to work. I'm not sure how they're doing it. They're making do. And so this thing that we have, this natural thing that we're going through, if we're not making a big deal about it, then no one is going to accommodate at any point. And
Yeah,
so
I know. Excuse me, but I know, like on my job, we had the EAP, the Employee Assistance Program, which you can go through them. I would prefer to go through them than to go through HR.
Oh yeah.
So, that's more private. And they
I
can
agree.
point you in a direction, to get you assistance if they can't give it to you themselves.
Right.
Yes.
So I would do that instead of like HR. I just don't trust HR.
Do you know I work in HR? But no, I totally understand what you're saying. I really do. And I agree. EAP is a phenomenal resource. And so when I think of EAP, a lot of times I do think of HR because we usually present EAP. But anyway, that's a whole other subject. All right, Corliss, thank you so much for sharing that. That was super, super helpful. Miss Carrie.
Okay, so I'm in the throes of it right now.
Yes.
It's funny because I'm usually a pretty patient, calm person. I get riled up sometimes, but the emotional, what Ruby said triggered me. I was like, oh my gosh, like 2 or 3 weeks ago, the washer kept going off balance. I was the only one home. I screamed at the top of my lungs. And then I'm like, that felt great. And then I was embarrassed, like literally, like I got embarrassed. No one was home. And I got embarrassed at my own self screaming. But the jumbled words, the forgetfulness, the fact that I put a gallon of milk in the pantry instead of the fridge one day. And I went back.
Oh my goodness.
What the heck?
Exactly.
I'm getting hot flashes, not like I was getting them frequently, but I went on something. So I think it's starting to help. But what I'm getting is hot flashes with cold feet.
Ooh, cold feet.
What is this? Like, how am I sitting here and
my feet are freezing
on my feet? But what Myra was saying, this is my biggest battle right now, and razor blades heat coming from my vagina. And I was, all 3 of my pregnancies and deliveries were vaginal. My issue with this is my whole entire life, since I was like 5th, 6th, 7th grade, I always had to wear a panty liner because I was always moist. And I was like, and I've seen so many OBs and so many doctors like, hey, is there something wrong with me? And they're like, you will love this when you're older and going through changes in your adulthood, because this is what women in their 40s and 50s dream of, and you're going to appreciate it. Well, now coconut oil, organic coconut oil, and every
Coconut
other.
oil, that's right.
Yes, it smells wonderful.
Yeah.
My insides literally heat up and suck it into my system, and it's dry after like 2 minutes.
Oh.
It doesn't work for me. Like it works.
Oh.
It works for like
But
2
it just
minutes.
doesn't
Like
last.
that's
Wow.
not satisfying.
Wow.
It's constant reapplying. All the other stuff doesn't work. So finally, my OB said, because I'm in peri, that I shouldn't try any hormone replacement stuff
Right.
yet. I don't know if that's accurate or not, but she gave me estradiol suppository, so estrogen.
It's
And that
right.
has been helping. So I'm not getting as many hot flashes now, but I have every other symptom. But the razor blades has decreased.
Ooh. Oh, it has. Oh, good.
Oh,
That's pretty
amen.
Yeah. I mean, it's not fully gone. And we're active. But the
Woo.
thing that's
Very good.
irritating to me right now, and I'm almost done. I was so excited. I had been 5 months without a period. Because before that, I was clotting, like I felt
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I feel like I'm hemorrhaging.
Mhm.
And so I get on your podcast last week, and I was just like, "Oh, I'm in 5 months. I only have 7 more months to go before I'm cleared as, whatever, all this stuff supposedly." And I got it this weekend. And I'm hemorrhaging.
Oh,
Of course.
sorry,
Yeah.
friend.
I need grace this week. I need lots of prayers.
Oh my
But
gosh.
yeah,
Oh,
I think I said
Your
that.
day will come.
that's right.
Ooh, and one other thing, I played pickleball tonight, and I was with women that I know are either in it themselves or out of it.
Mhm.
And I brought up that I was getting, because they were like, "Oh, you want to stay and play?" And I was like, "I can't. I'm getting on a podcast tonight." And they're like, "Oh, that's awesome. What's the topic?" I said, "Being in menopause or postmenopause and perimenopause." They're like, "Oh." And then I told them what I was going through, and they like completely shut up. Like
Shut
they
down.
didn't expand, they didn't acknowledge, because I was going to invite them on. Like I did invite one.
Oh,
Yeah.
You want to join? She goes, "Oh no, I can't tonight." I'm like,
Okay.
"Okay."
Wow.
Oh, you're right. It's almost like taboo with some people.
It
I don't
is.
know
It is.
them like that. They're not my friends. They're
Right.
just getting to know them.
Yeah.
But they were like, "Whoa, like she has no filter."
Unless you're going through it, nobody wants to talk
I
about
know.
it. You really don't.
It's so
Yeah.
sad because it's such an important topic. And,
yeah.
everybody's got a story. Everybody's got something they're going through. And, you never, we can attribute it to, this is because of menopause, but the younger generation doesn't know. I don't
Right.
know.
Don't know what you don't know.
Exactly. Exactly.
Oh, yes,
Mm.
yes. I don't know if you guys can see. I don't have my glasses on. Looks like Pamela was
Yeah.
just responding
yeah.
to Corliss.
Yeah.
Thankfully, not all HR folks operate like that.
Um,
And it's true. Most of the HR people are women.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
they can
mhm.
may be able to relate.
Mhm.
At some point, they're going to be able to relate. And maybe it's us teaching them.
Mhm.
Get ready, HR, because it's coming. It's coming,
And Pam knows HR. That's, hey, Pam.
Hey, Pam. But Carrie, you're right. It is hard. You either you're in it or you're not. I was at my daughter's school the other day. I talk to everybody, right? I just tell everybody my business. And so I was just telling them we were in line waiting for a teacher, and it was really warm in the building. And there was this guy, he was standing. They were like, "We never see men who are hot." I'm like, "Yeah, like we're always hot." And then we started talking about this. And then she was like, "Oh, I'm going to get on your podcast." So I don't know if she's here or not. If you are, let me know. But yeah, it's real. Some people really want to talk about it, and other people are like, I think about my mom. And Charmaine, I'm getting to you, but I think about my mom, who also, I don't know if she had a partial or a full hysterectomy, because she didn't talk about it. She was like the silent generation. You didn't talk about anything.
Yes.
I learned when I was like 34 that I had this aunt that I didn't know about. I'm like, "Who is this person?" She's like,
yeah.
"Oh, that's your aunt." I'm like, You had another sister? You
Crazy.
didn't tell me about it? Like 30 something years old. I'm like, okay, we've got to start talking, right?
Absolutely.
Got to start talking. So
Absolutely.
it's there. But hopefully, again, as people are talking about, at least now, Carrie, when they do go through it, they're going to know who to come to.
That's
You're
right.
going to be the
That's
resident
right.
expert on it. So yes. All right, Miss Charmaine. And I'm going to add one caveat to Charmaine. As you talk about your journey, if you could then say if there was something that I wish I knew, something that I wish I did when I was going through it, or I don't know, some words of wisdom, and then I'll go back and ask you guys as well. But if you could end off on that, that would be awesome.
Okay. Oh man. So Carrie, I'm sorry, but mine was cold turkey. I was 49. It was December. I was about to turn 50 in February. Last period, stopped, never saw it again.
Wow.
That was beautiful. That was
Mhm.
that was the best thing that ever happened in menopause. Everything
Right?
else, hot flashes. I'd be in the car driving, and all of a sudden, I got to take my. I feel like
Yes.
I'm on fire, right?
Yes.
Just feel like, and I would say, my daughter says, "I think I'm gonna die." Because I used to say that all the time because I literally felt like I was gonna pass out and die. And so to this day, I'm like, I'm getting hot. She goes, I know. I think I'm gonna die. And she'll start doing this, right? Teasing me. And but the hot flashes have now subsided somewhat. But for some reason, at 2:30 in the morning, I'll get hot. And I'm usually I'm cold. My body is always cold. My fingers are cold. My extremities are
Same.
cold, right? So I'm
Yeah.
always underneath the covers. But those covers come off, literally, but only for like 2 to
Seconds. Yeah.
That's
seconds.
all.
And
That's all
then
you need.
and then I'm
Yep.
freezing and it has to come back on. And that's it. That's the only time. I'm done for the night. I'm done for the day. But that's
Wow.
every day.
Wow.
I don't
We
know
need
why.
a hotline at 2 a.m. to talk when we're
Right,
up
to
and
talk. I'm
can't
like, are
sleep.
you up? Are you just okay.
We'll get a little
Oh,
text thread
crazy.
going on.
Exactly.
Crazy. And then the forgetfulness.
Mhm.
I started talking to myself a couple years back, and my husband's like, "What's wrong with you? Why are you talking to yourself?" I said, "Because I have to ask myself, where did you put the phone? Where did you?" Because that was the only way I could. It would make sense. It's like I had to talk myself through. Okay, why did you come down here, Shemaine?
Yeah.
Okay, you're in the laundry room. What were you coming to get? Oh, paper towel.
Yep.
I was like, if I'm going to remember, that's the only way I can remember is to tell myself, why are you here? What are you
Right.
doing? Right. So
Yeah.
that's one of my symptoms to this day still. That's okay. It works for me. I don't care. I'm like, I'm talking to myself. I said, as long as I'm answering myself, we're good. We're having a conversation.
There you go.
I'm having
It's a conversation.
That's right.
Conversations with Teresa.
Yeah.
Conversations with Charmaine.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, that's
So
real.
that was one of my symptoms. What else? The vaginal dryness.
Ooh.
I was so grateful that a great friend of mine came into my life and she just sat me. We went out to lunch. First time we sit down and she's like, let me ask you something. Vaginal dryness, are you having it? Like, are you having pain? And I was like, wow,
How'd you know?
someone that actually
Must
wanted
be on
to
my
talk about it.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
I was like, this is crazy. I was like,
Yes.
I literally said, I feel like someone is pouring acid inside.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
that's
Oh my
literally
God.
how I would feel.
How
Someone-
painful it is. Yep.
I was like, this makes no sense.
Real.
Mm-hmm.
I just, oh my God. It is getting a little bit better. I've had to get creative with like
Yes.
positions because certain positions are way better than others.
Yep. Yep.
Wait, it's still happening after menopause?
Oh gosh, yes.
We're still in it. I'm still.
Oh,
That's why I
absolutely.
said,
Absolutely.
Do you ever get past
Oh,
it?
poor Terry.
Yeah.
I'm not past that.
Terry's like,
You're
no.
70. I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't know when it ends.
Yeah,
Right? 'Cause no one
exactly.
tells you it ends at a certain time. Some people are like, oh, 10 years. I'm like, yeah, no, I don't think
No, that's not right for
so.
me.
That's not
Yeah.
true.
Me
Yeah, that's
either.
not true. Right. So I'm just like, it is getting better, but you just got to figure it out. It's something that you said, Carrie, that your OBGYN, her GYN doctor said that the hormone therapy is usually for later people. I had my same friend told me that she went to the doctor today and had an appointment and was told that because she's older that she should have done it earlier.
Ah,
To start it earlier, it doesn't make sense to do it at the end, really, right? Like, or closer to the end. When
Yeah.
is the end? We don't know. She could still be in it. Like, what is the
right,
end?
right.
But I would double check on that because
I
maybe,
will.
yeah,
I mean,
I would
the
double check.
the estrogen suppositories seem to be helping a little bit.
Yeah.
I think it's, helped a tiny bit, but I thought you could, she made it sound like I couldn't take them till after I finished my period after 12 months. So does
Oh.
that sound right?
That might be the case because you're still having a cycle, right? So
I don't know. We're none of us are doctors.
Yeah.
Put that disclaimer out there. None of us are
that's
doctors
sure.
or
We
therapists.
sure ain't, but we just trying to get through it.
Right,
what
absolutely.
I would say about that is that we do rely on our doctors. We rely on our GYN specialists to tell us these things. And we had a friend of mine who was a doctor on last week, and she was saying, she was like, what, they get like a course in menopause?
Yeah, they don't. No.
Very, very, very little. They do have physicians who specialize in menopause. And so you can, look in your network. You can ask for that if you need to switch doctors in this time in your life. There's nothing wrong with that. But you want to find someone who's going to give you the right information, because not everyone knows enough. It's not like they're not telling you because they're being mean, but they just might not know enough. But you know your body. And it's just like, that ain't right. That ain't right. Something's got to give.
Yeah. And you shouldn't have to
And
suffer through it. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's the suffering through it. I was like, this don't make no kind of sense. And I'm
It
like,
doesn't.
when will it end?
Right.
So I guess the one thing I wish someone had told me maybe in my late 30s, 40s, like getting ready for this, right? Especially being married, is what are the best natural treatments to start putting into your body now to help you. Because just like the gynecologist only has like one course in menopause, they only have like 1 to 2 courses on nutrition. They're not taught nutrition, they're taught medicine, right? And I don't want medicine. I want nutrition to heal my body, because our bodies can heal themselves if we know what to put in it. You know what I mean? So I wish someone would tell me years ago, stop filling your body with this, eat this. You know what I mean?
Right.
Whatever the this is, that would help.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Carrie, I know you're in the throes of it. I'm not there to start telling people I wish I would have, because I'm literally in the throes of it as well. I don't know if you have anything to add, or I can ask someone else. I don't want to assume you don't.
No, I definitely did a little research on mushroom coffee this morning, because I'm thinking, that might help with my focus
Yes, that's
and my memory, because the same, I do it at least once a day. Why did I come up here? What did I forget?
Oh my
And
goodness.
then I go back downstairs, and then I'm like, where's my phone?
Oh my
Where's my
goodness.
room? I went back to get my phone.
Yeah, I got to stop putting my phone on silent, because then I never find it.
Oh yeah.
Right. But
I
I
just
am
realized my
discouraged
watch,
that
though.
I'm going to
I
be
could find
going
it
through
from
all
my
this.
watch. Thank God.
Oh, yeah.
My phone is always on silent.
Absolutely.
Or the names when you go to see, you see someone and you want to introduce, and like, oh my
Oh
goodness,
no.
the name just flew out my head.
Oh my goodness.
I told my husband, I said, okay, this is when I look at you and
You-
I have that
yeah.
look like I don't know the name. Please
Right.
just say your name. And
Say it, right.
Yes.
Say it.
Yes.
Yes.
Exactly.
Like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Miss Corliss, words of wisdom. Anything you wish that someone would have told you? I know your situation is a little different, but we'll take it.
But at the same rate, I too was never given that information.
Yeah.
Like with my mom, she used to be like down to earth, party type. Everybody was always at our house. It was like, and like she was kind of laid back. But as we got older, we started having our kids. We started noticing like, what does she mean noise? All the noise she used to keep, just because the kids are running through the house. I know the noise she used to keep. And like little things irritated her. And we used to just look at her like, where is that coming from? So after a while, we realized that that's what she was going through.
Yeah.
She never talked about it, but her whole like demeanor changed from what we were used to.
Yeah.
And like I said, with my friends that are going through it, I'm not with them in the evening, and that's when I guess at night, overnight is when they have the biggest of their problem. They do have day sweats too. And I see them, and it just looks like they're so miserable. But to tell you the honest to God truth, I just think it's part of life, and we all gonna, well, most of us are gonna go through it, but we're gonna go through it differently.
Absolutely.
Like it could be like you could have night sweats all the time and feel like your body temperature is 200 degrees, and I could be going through it with you, but I don't feel that way.
Exactly.
See, so it's hard. I mean, we can all talk about it and say, yeah, you're gonna have night sweats, and yeah, you're gonna, break out with the chills, kick your feet out of the covers at 2:00 in the morning, whatever. But like I said, it's gonna be different for each person.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely.
My thing is, if you haven't gone through it or you're not sure, because like I said, there's no age, like they can't tell you you're not supposed to start this. In my mind, growing up, I thought you had to be like around 50 to start going through menopause. But then I started hearing people say they was going through it like 30 years old, 35. So there's really no time frame.
Right. Exactly.
So it's like when do you talk about it? Do you talk about it I mean, like right now, this is a good podcast, to make people familiar and let women know that they're not out there by themselves or they're not suffering alone.
Right.
But like I said, it's not something we're going to sit down every day. Like, so how's your menopause today?
Or we can.
Yeah, no, exactly. I was going to say, why not? That's right.
And so when do you start talking about it? You start talking to your little cousin and your niece and your little sister and her boyfriend and your husband. And you just start talking about it so that we make it normal, so that I'm like, my youngest child is 10 years old. He knows about periods. He knows about tampons. He knows about menopause. He knows, because it's like, guess what? You know a woman,
That's right.
Know somebody.
And I'm having a hot flash. I'm in menopause.
There you go. I need you to be empathetic to what's coming, because it's going to affect you in some way, shape, or form. And so, start talking about it. Let people know. If you don't have what to say, point them to the podcast, right? We're going to be talking about this for a couple more weeks. We got about 2 more weeks to talk about this in this series. But yes, absolutely. That's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about it. So thank you so much for that. Miss Myra, some words of wisdom.
Again, talk about it. I think it's like you said, conversation is good. Just to really get the word out there that, and listen to your sisters, have a conversation with them, and could just be about nothing, could be anything. Just have a conversation, be willing to listen.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. I appreciate Ms. Ruby.
Yeah. I think for me, I wished someone had just try to meet me where I was. I'm serious when I said no one was talking about it. Now, my profession, I'm in ministry. I'm with all kinds of older women who are mature. They weren't talking about it. And perhaps it wasn't as vicious as mine, or as it didn't come on them like it came on me. So it wasn't as wow. But I think the conversations need to be had with women who are coming down the pike. I do remember being in the room with a group of women, and one of the women said, and I don't want to talk about anything about this menopausal stuff. And she was much younger, it seemed at the time. I later kind of was in another meeting with her sometime down the road, and lots of things were going on in her life. And I thought, she's probably going through this time right now. Sometimes we're not acknowledging what it could be.
Right.
Right.
But
Right.
it is something that if you're younger, you don't want to hear about menopause,
Yeah.
but it comes on you. It's not a set time, but it comes on.
Right.
All of a sudden
Right.
it's there and you're in it. But I do love what everybody is saying. Let's just have a conversations. Let's keep
Yeah.
them open and say, as a woman, this is
Mhm.
more prone to happen than not. And here are some of the things that might happen that you can look out for. That's what I
Right.
wish could have happened.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. So, what I would say is that I will ask you guys to be ambassadors of menopause. You
Yes.
know, just
Get me a
talk about
badge.
it. You
I
know what I
know,
mean?
right?
I give you a badge. I
We're
Nike you
official.
or Nike that's you. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
You, and you, right?
Right.
We do. We have to make this a conversation. It is happening to us whether we like it or not.
Absolutely.
And yeah, it's just out there. I've since last week I've had a lot of conversations, you know, people are
Yeah.
calling me and like, okay, I'm going through this, I'm going through that. And you know, and it's been wonderful, but it's been that thing where it's like, okay, I haven't been able to talk about it. And so I really want this to be a community. This podcast is not necessarily only about like I'm just doing a series, so I'm doing like 4 weeks of this, and then we'll talk about something else. But this is something that will come up because I'm going through it. So you know, you might see me on a Monday, like, okay, I'm just gonna have to break out and tell you guys, you know, like
Yeah.
do this, that, and the other. I learned something new all the time. Again, it was the itchy ear, the
Yeah.
coconut oil. I didn't know the top. I told Carl the top of my feet are cold, not the bottom of my feet. It's
Oh,
just the
goodness.
top of my foot that's really cold. And I'm like, what is this? And of course, like I just blinked, like I jokingly was like, it's menopause. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh shoot, it's probably menopause.
Okay. Okay.
You know,
Hence, I've got it too.
right?
I would
So-
say
Hands and feet.
your hair changes as well. So that's another
Absolutely.
thing. That's probably another time, but your hair does
Absolutely.
change as well. So
Yeah.
things are happening.
hits the do. Yeah, my has changed significantly.
Everything.
Same. Yeah.
Skin,
Yeah.
hair, all of it's affected.
Yes, yes.
Insomnia.
Mm.
I'm suffering
Sleeping.
with
Are
that.
you
Yes.
kidding me?
Uh-huh. I'm going
Yes.
through that too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Insomnia. That's
And then
that's
one of the things that I would say is as we wrap this up is that we know that is how it's affecting us.
Yeah.
It is affecting our significant others.
Yeah.
And next week I want to invite the significant others on. I don't know if your significant others would be willing to talk about how they are dealing with it.
Wow.
Because I look at Carl and I'm so grateful. I mean, he would get up with me when I'm like, he would get up with me when I was crying. He would stay up with me and talk. Do you want to talk some more? I don't know what to talk about. You know, he's been phenomenal. But I
That's
also
awesome.
told him, I was like, can you go talk to other people? Because I know I can't help you right now. Like, I got nothing for you. I need you to go find some friends and talk about it. I don't have a problem. You can tell them everything that I'm putting you through, that you're experiencing, that you're seeing, because I needed him to be right. I needed him to, you know, to have like not to think that he was crazy too, or not to think that he couldn't do anything for me.
Right.
Because, you know, as our significant others, they don't want to see us suffer, but they can't do anything about it.
Absolutely.
Except maybe give me a fan, right?
I got many.
And so that will be next week. That is the goal, to have some men on and just to talk about it, what their experience has been like. How do they get a chance to talk? Like, are they going to work? Be like, yeah, my wife's going through the pause.
I know.
Like, what? You know? So just like Carrie's friends was like, pickleball, that's it. That's where we're going. Maybe the guys are doing that too. And they may not have a community to talk about, to be able to get the help that they need to walk through this with us and to help us to go through it. So besides being ambassadors, ask your hubbies, ask your significant others, like, hey, would you guys be willing to come on? I'll ask the questions, tell them it's super easy. Let them, you can show them this and be like, look at how easy it was. It was fine.
Right.
But it's real.
Yeah.
It's real stuff. So
It's funny. You think about it. It's called menopause.
men,
Men.
pause. Hold up.
Pause.
Listen,
That's right.
The O is by a big.
Okay. Oh, pause.
menstrual cycle,
Oh.
menopause. There's a lot
Yeah.
of men going on in our issues.
Okay.
Sorry, honey, it's not you, it's me.
You know, exactly. But please pause.
Please
Please
pause.
pause. No, you got to pause
Pause.
right now. Like, I got razor blades. You need to pause. Like,
What?
Oh, that's exactly
Ain't
right.
no coming up here.
Yeah.
Right now.
None of that. It's none of that. And the reality is that it is not just for it's not just for our significant others. Like I told you, like my son is producing this right now, right?
Yeah.
And so he's like, wow, I learned a lot last week. And
Right.
so
Yeah.
he's all in it. But at some point, he's gonna have to be equipped with this
Right,
stuff.
yeah.
So it doesn't matter the age or whatever. I think the more that we know, it will be great. So please keep sharing this. Please keep inviting people. Again, we have at least 2 more weeks. I'd like to invite the men to come on. And then one of the final weeks, I do want to talk about how this affects us professionally in our line of work. How do we deal with it? Do we go to EAP? Do we go to HR? Do we go to whomever? Do we talk about it at work? You know, all this stuff. How do we still function at work, even though all this stuff is going on? We're up, 3 times through the night. Our minds, our body, we're just jacked, but we still got to produce. How do we do that?
Yeah.
And how do we help each other through it? So,
Mhm.
so it is way past. We usually go for about 35 minutes. We are almost at 50 minutes now. Anything that's burning on your heart that you're like, oh, I just had to say this one thing, that I'll give you 30 seconds for. If not, we're good.
We're good.
We're good.
Good.
We're good.
Myra, I want your contact somehow from
Absolutely.
Teresa. That'd be great.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. You guys don't go anywhere.
Okay.
Those who are on there. For those who had joined on, thank you guys so much. I know Pamela had made another comment. I didn't get a chance to see it. Ladies, thank
Thanks
you for hosting a good conversation and sharing. Hope you can share this more widely. Me too.
The
Tell your
menopause
friends.
movement.
Menopause
That's right.
If you guys
movement.
haven't, please subscribe to the
It is
channel.
movement.
There's a way that you can get notified when Conversations with Teresa is coming on. So if you go onto the website or go on to YouTube, they have a notify button. It'll let you know. So that's how you can do it. Spread the word. Tell everyone, come on, do the replay. But we got to have this conversation. So thank you guys so much. You're
Thank
amazing.
you. It's
Menopause,
good
here we come.
everybody.
We're taking it over. Ooh, got you. Have a great night, everybody. Thank you so
You
much.
too.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you.
All right. Good night.
Bye-bye now.
Bye.
All right.